here, I'm sort of in the middle of a garden project, hence the look that we have here. But I wanted to take you along and show you what I'm doing, which is I'm working on this tiny little bed on the north side of our deck. So for many years, this bed, I mean, the feature of this bed and one of the best plants in this garden is this Aurelia silver umbrella. It just has grown so well. It sticks up over the deck. It takes to pruning. I actually have had to start pruning it down just a little bit. It gets in the way of the grill sometimes. Gorgeous plant, variegated. We've talked about this plant a ton, but people do ask about it quite a bit. Has beautiful variegated leaves on it. The only problem with this is that it does shoot up from the roots, sprouts from the roots, which is of the rootstock, because it's a grafted plant. And so the rootstock is devil's walking stick type Aurelia, so very spiny shoots come up. So I just have to make sure to stay on top of those so it doesn't suck energy from the plant itself. So for years it was just basically this hosta and this hosta, which I divided last year or the year before, and then the Aurelia, and then there was a hydrangea here. And then last year when I renovated this bed over here, to make this a circle. So this used to be kind of an oval, but I wanted the grass to become a circle. So this, in order to make that happen, this bed had to come out quite a bit. And then I needed to, because these are these stairs on this side, I needed to bring this out a little bit to make all of this make sense. So on a whim last year, I extended this bed out like this, transplanted, I think this is teaspoon hosta, transplanted all these hostas, which were over there, planted them in a big mass, which I love, by the way, moved the hydrangea back and actually swapped it out. This is now Haas Halo. It was incredible before, but this is Haas Halo. And then filled in with some things, including a little bit of divisions. I actually just grabbed everything from around the garden last year. I didn't buy anything. Well, except for the Haas Halos, which I knew were getting swapped out anyway. But everything I just grabbed from other places in the garden. Some Hacklecloa all gold, some European ginger, Asarum europaeum. The hostas were here, like I said. And oh, and this was here too. There's this really pretty fern and this very pretty Solomon seal here, both of which I picked up at a plant sale from a woman who has a lovely garden. She didn't know what these were. I think this might be autumn fern. I'm not sure. And I do not know what this Solomon seal is, but it's delightful. And it actually is starting to, there's some more popping up, which is great. It's been here for a long time. Looks particularly good right now because it's flowering. Well, I just gone through here now and I wanted to just sort of spruce this up and make a few changes, but I'm adding a few new plants to this to kind of bulk this bed up and just provide a little bit more interest. And then we're going to put in a few beacons, Impatients, which I planted here last year and they did so good for just a little bit of color here. But let me show you the plants that we're going to be adding. This is a Japanese painted fern called Godzilla. It's supposed to get about 3 feet tall and wide. I've had 2 planted in another bed for 2 years now and it's about this size still. So we'll see what it does over here, but it's a beautiful painted fern. And I'm going to put 2 of those kind of tucked in over here. By the way, I mentioned the lamium. So what I did was I really went through here and removed a lot of the lamium. So again, like I said, last year when I created this bed, I just divided things out of the garden. I had no plants specifically meant for this garden. So I just divided things. And that meant lamium. And here's what I love about lamium. Some people really detested dead nettle. This one might be pink chablis, but I have many different varieties around the garden, so I don't really know what's what anymore. The nice thing about lamium is that it is a pretty impervious ground cover. So if I hadn't had that here, I would have had weeds here, and I never really had to deal with any weeds here at all. So to me, ground covers like lamium are great holding plants. So like I took a lot of that lamium out now and I actually am going to transplant a few of that to other areas that could use something in them just to keep weeds from growing. But because the lamium was there, there were no weeds. So to me, I use these kinds of ground covers, Geranium macrorhizum is another one, as a way to keep weeds at bay and to have something that's prettier than weeds in an area while I'm going to get to it, or maybe they stay there forever. So anyway, I did pull some of that lamium out. It was real happy, and we are adding in, which gives us a little bit of room to add in some of these other things. Then over here, I'm going to add in a new type of Hackaloa called Lemon Zest. Jury's really out for me on this one, whether I like it or not. It's sort of yellow and white striped. I can just tell from the coloration on it that this one is just going to really want some shade, or else it's just going to get all washed out. In fact, it's been sitting towards the front of the house where it's getting a lot of sun, so I think it's kind of washed out right now. But I figured we could repeat that, that Hackaloa from the other side and get a little bit of color over here. And then lastly, I fell in love with this plant. I have a bunch of this to put around the garden. This is a runcus. This is a goat's beard that only gets 10 to 12 inches tall. So it's a ground cover goat's beard. And you can see that it's starting to flower now, so it will do that. But the rest of the time, it's going to have this beautiful feathery foliage. And that is beautiful, whether it has those flowers or not, plus a little bit of red stems on it, which is kind of interesting. So I'm going to tuck a little bit of that around this garden too. I will probably tuck a few between these hostas over there. Eventually they might get covered up by the hostas as they get bigger, but we can adjust from there. So we're going to move that around. So let me get those planted, and then we will talk about impatiens. So here's the deal with beacon impatiens, in case you're not familiar with them. This is Impatiens walleriana, which is like your basic impatiens, but for a while there, we couldn't grow them because Impatiens downy mildew just would wipe them out overnight. So beacons is downy mildew resistant, so these should grow great for you. And that was always the issue. Like, everyone would have like a beautiful garden full of impatiens, and then almost overnight they would be taken out. Now they have several colors of beacons. They sent me these, and this is Beacon's lipstick, which I grew last year, really bright fuchsia pink. This is coral, which is, I would say, more pinkish than coral. And then we've got a traditional white here. And I think I'm going to mix the coral and the hot pink, the coral and the lipstick in a couple of spots, and then kind of keep the white isolated. So in no time, this will be filled up completely. They bulk up quickly. I do have to put deer repellent on them. I'm not sure if it's the deer or the rabbits that will nibble. They don't seem to love them, but they'll nibble. I had one extra coral, so I popped that there to kind of come around the corner. And then I'm just putting the whites down here. Now I do have this pot in the middle, and I will put something fun in that pot. I just don't know what that's going to be yet, so that'll be the next thing. So that is sort of just the quick renovation of this garden. So I actually love little gardens like this, these little pocket gardens, because you can get so much done in them so quickly. And even last year when I decided to create this completely on a whim, I mean, it was great. I just ran around my garden and grabbed stuff to put in it. And actually, I think it was pretty successful. I just wanted to kind of change things up a little bit in there. So, and I know those impatiens are going to look really pretty because they were there last year and they looked gorgeous. So there's one more garden job checked off. So I hope you enjoyed watching this. Stay tuned and subscribe if you haven't already, so that you can follow along how this garden sort of develops as we roll into summer here. All right, have a great day in your garden. We will see you soon. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.